Welcome to El Reportero TV in San Francisco in the Mission District, and thank you for watching us. We have a special guest today. Is the candidate for mayor of San Francisco, Francisco Herrera. Francisco Herrera is a Mexican-American Latino professional who decided to run for mayor after seeing so much corruption, so much lack of interest in the little people of the current rulers. So we have Francisco here. We introduce you to him so you can hear from him directly why he wants to be a mayor. Francisco,
thank you very much.
Welcome and thank you for being at El Reportero TV today. And what do you tell me about the campaign now? How's your campaign, and who are you? Where you come from first, so people know who you are.
Well, it's been 5 months, Marvin, and we've been having a very successful campaign. A lot of interest in our campaigning for mayor of San Francisco. There's tremendous interest. We've been to Fillmore District, Sunset District, North Beach, Chinatown, the Fillmore, Bayview, the Excelsior, the Mission. Tremendous amount of support. Downtown as well, District 6. We've had a lot of support, a lot of interest. In the campaign, we gave ourselves kind of the goal of not just educating the community about the problems that were in San Francisco and about what we wanted to do, but really facilitating a process in which people can get excited about civic participation, excited about democracy and people's changes. We can make a big difference. The reason that most candidates were saying they would not run against Ed Lee was because he's a millionaire or he has $1 million budget and that he could cause a lot of damage to the lives of people.
But you don't have that much money.
No, we're running a grassroots, people-powered campaign. It's the shoestring budget, basically to pay for materials. And it's been a very freeing experience, actually, Marvin. It's been a wonderfully freeing experience where we've had volunteers doing everything from phone calling, helping us write material, filming, producing copies of interviews, finding places to do interviews, house visits, coffee shop visits, on street corners. It's been a very beautiful experience, actually.
So is it getting more momentum as the election on November 3rd is approaching?
It is getting more momentum. As a matter of fact, I had the greatest experience this morning where a young woman said, Francisco, I already voted for you by mail.
Wow.
And I'm applying the 1, 2, 3 to replace Ed Lee, the campaign that we've gotten started. And it's been really wonderful. It was wonderful experience to hear someone, I already voted for you. And Sunday we were at the Fillmore District. Very interesting. Couple of ladies, elderly ladies, said, oh, well, I was just gonna vote by mail this afternoon. Thank you for your information, I'm gonna vote for you. So we've had some very good experience with people who have hope. Marvin, when we started this campaign, we were confronted by people of our own communities in the Mission, in the Excelsior, in Chinatown, in the Richmond, in the Sunset, saying, it's too much, I'm tired, I'm overwhelmed, I don't want to participate, I'll send you $10. And that lack of vision, that lack of excitement has really changed. We have a lot of excitement now.
Yeah, people see that it is possible someone, a grassroots candidate, can really pull it off.
Yes, we've had some very rich discussions. We've had some really engaging planning, because part of the campaign is to win for mayor, but it's also to build a base of support, a group of volunteers to build an alliance across the city across sectors, across labor, across churches, really different parts of the city, different communities to come together and say, this is the city that we want, a city with safety, a city with affordability where our children can have a future and our grandchildren as well, a city where we have access to health and education. It's been very powerful.
Yeah, we're going to be back into what he's been doing all this week, past week, and his endorsements and where the campaign is going now. And we are going to hear about him. Who is he? He's an educated guy with a master's degree. He was one time wanted to be a priest, correct?
Correct.
And so he's a guy who has principles, humanity, and this he wants the city to be, with financially better than what it is now, but to be more distributed, where people have opportunities, not only job but also housing, which is very important to keep. And he's going to tell us who he is, where he's coming from, where he comes from, and where is he from, and everything. So tell us about yourself.
Thank you, Marvin. I've been here in San Francisco for almost 30 years, raised my children, or helped to raise my children. Now with our grandchildren, we're also helping raise our grandchildren. But I was born in Calexico, California. It's very interesting because Calexico is a small town on the border, 2 hours east of San Diego in the desert. On the Mexican side is Mexicali, which is a big city of over 1.5 million people.
Wow, it's a big one.
A lot of people, yeah.
Is it bigger than Tijuana?
No.
No.
Tijuana's bigger. I don't know which city has more square miles, but in population,
Tijuana is more, yeah.
Tijuana is over 2 million people. Mexicali is it's almost 2 million people. Very beautiful, both, that whole area. But I moved out of there as I also entered the seminary, as you mentioned, the seminary in the religious order called the Jesuits, Companions of Jesus. And that work was beautiful because it really taught me about diverse communities. I learned all about diverse religious backgrounds and belief systems. It was very helpful. And I got to work with a lot of social justice organizations that really helped me understand the message of the religious text of each organization. And the core of it is justice, Martin.
What do you mean with social justice? What do you mean with that?
Well, do unto others what you want them to do unto you. Social justice being a table where we can share, we can negotiate, we can share from each other and with each other, not just the meal, but the ideas, the projects that help us be able to live as a community, live one another in support of each other. There's an ancient phrase in Mayan called that says "En lac ech." En lac ech means you are my other me. Tú eres mi otro yo. You are my other I. And it really reflects what I got to learn in the seminary, that we need to see each other not just as brother and sister, but as really deeply related in the sense of needing each other's support, to that being interdependent with each other. So that's things that I learned in my formation, and I've come to apply them here as I'm a musician and educator, and using music and popular education methods, form of working with adults and with children. I find how wonderful it is when you are able to find the common goal that people have, find the common point in which we can all agree and move forward. Admitting that there's areas that we do not agree and agree to disagree, but really work towards the common goal. One example, sanctuary in San Francisco. that is now being fought because of the really lies and defamation of character that Donald Trump presented about Latinos and people crossing the border. No. And so, in spite of all of that, we've been able to work with churches, community groups, labor groups, in working on this idea that people who are fleeing war, torture, violence should have a place to be able to nourish themselves and their soul, their spirit. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, that is the social justice that you're talking about. How about what the other side, the other part of the population, which are rich, are successful, they have businesses and all that? How would you reconcile that? How would you you project a security for the business community that you are the man who can continue for them to grow financially?
Yeah, well, you know, the business community is not a monolith. The business community is very diverse, very, very much interested in the local economy, I think, as opposed to big investors and big banks who are interested in taking money from the local economy to their banks and to their bigger businesses. No, I think it's crucial for small business people and the small business community to be able to work together. And so being someone that grew up selling this and selling that, and not just for hobby, but really working since I was 13. My father had a small business that I helped him run, I've sold everything from clothes to food to done all kinds of work in that area of sales, of marketing. One of my first licenses when I started college was actually hotel and restaurant management. I moved over to study agribusiness because I was very interested in this idea of how you work with small farmers and cooperatives and small farm organizations. And so these kinds of things have really taught me of how to find common denominators, but how to use the economy in a way that benefits the majority in all of society, in fact.
The middle class, small businesses, grocery stores, small entrepreneurs, which are the ones who feed the economy. Basically, they keep the economy going, right? So what do you have for them?
Well, you know what? Right now in San Francisco, it's exactly, for me there's one large working class, and there's obviously income differences. But a small business owner like many of my family, as well as someone who just arrived and is working in a restaurant as an employee, are all working class. One group that's been here a longer time has more power or more economic power, but in fact, people are partners. In a restaurant, an employee is a partner of the owner of the restaurant, and they help each other. The same kind of thing happens with a landlord and a renter. The renter actually helps the landlord not just pay for the mortgage of the house or of the building, but as well as the taxes. And the owner provides a space that the renter can use to move forward in their life, whether they're going to stay there for many years or they're going to move on to buy another house. So I like to look at these things in terms of partnerships, and I think from the vantage point of the mayor and what's happened in the last 3-4 years with this runaway housing market that has developed, is that the role of City Hall, instead of being a role of protecting the citizenry and creating space for people to negotiate their self-interests, everyone negotiating their own self-interest, right, and finding common denominators, what has happened is that City Hall has opened the space, the city of San Francisco, to very large predatory uh, companies whose main interest is profit, making a buck, you know, and there's been a real lack of leadership in protecting the population. And really, what we have seen in San Francisco is precisely that so-called middle class. And what I'm talking about is people who are making $30,000 to $100,000 a year are very, very badly being affected by this. When we started this campaign, we talked to people from all levels because we started building a platform. It was very surprising, Marvin, to find out folks who were saying, well, I'll help you for a week because I'm moving out. Professionals saying, I work in City Hall, I can't afford to live here. I'm staying one more month and we're moving out. We're moving to Oakland. We're moving to Byron. We're moving to Richmond.
Well, that's also happening with small business owners. Their rent is being increased upon the expiration of the lease.
Yes.
And they're being out one by one. Here in the Mission, you can see they say, I only have 2 more years. I only have 1 year.
Yeah, and we've worked with small businesses and some restaurant folks on helping them find avenues through SBA, Small Business Administration, and we will continue to do that. And in entering the office of the mayor, there's access that we can do to access federal funds, state funds that help small businesses work on issues that can help them increase not just their cash flow, but their whole operation, the ability to be able to work their business. There's been
we're going to take a break right now, and then we're going to go into what you've been doing in your campaign all this past week. We're going to take a break, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll come back now.